Digestive System presentation. Introduction and purpose. In this presentation, I will be exploring the digestive system. I will go over key organs involved, how they work, and how they help break down food into energy, which is energy we need to survive. I will also be touching on how ATP, calories, and nutrients come into play. Let's dive right in. The digestive system is responsible for breaking down the food we eat, turning it into energy. The energy powers everything from muscle movement to brain function. It also helps absorb nutrients and remove waste. Key organs involved include the mouth, esophagus, stomach, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, and small and large intestines. We'll even touch on the gut microbiome, which plays a crucial role in digestion and overall health. It all begins in the mouth, where digestive starts long before food reaches your stomach. Your teeth break down food physically, chewing it into smaller pieces. This is crucial because the smaller the food, the easier it is for your body to absorb the nutrients later on. If you think about steak, you need to chew it enough so it's small enough to be digested properly. Your tongue also plays a huge role here too. It's not just for tasting through your taste buds. The tongue helps mix food with saliva and moves it around to help with the chewing process. This combination of food and saliva creates a substance called bolus, which is ready to head down the digestive pipeline. Then there's your salivary glands. These guys are responsible for producing saliva, which contains enzymes that start to break down the carbohydrates in your food right from the start. You've got three main salivary glands. One near the ear, which is a parotid, one under your jaw, submandibular, and one under your tongue, which is a sublingual. All these glands have ducts that transport the saliva to your mouth to help with digestion. The esophagus. Once the food is all chewed up and mixed with the saliva, it forms that bolus I mentioned earlier. And now it's time to swallow it. This takes us to the esophagus. It's a muscular tube that connects your mouth to your stomach. When you swallow your epiglottis, it's a small flap at the end of your throat. Make sure that the food doesn't go down the round pipe, the windpipe. Instead, it's directed into the esophagus, where a wave-like motion called peristalsis pushes the food downward. This is like a conveyor belt that moves food through the esophagus. There are two main muscle rings along the way. The upper esophageal sphincter that lets food enter the esophagus, and the lower esophageal sphincter, which opens to let the food into the stomach. The lining of the esophagus is called the mucosa, and it helps keep the food sliding smoothly without causing damage. Now that the food has made its way down to the esophagus, it enters the stomach, where things really get interesting. The stomach is essentially a big mixing bowl that turns and matches the food into semi-liquid form called chyme. It does this by contracting its muscle to crush and mix everything together. In the stomach, hydrochloric acid creates an environment, an acidic environment, which helps break down the food and even more. This is also where your body starts to break down proteins and fats. Thanks to the digestive enzymes. These enzymes help break down the food into similar molecules. The gastric glands in the stomach lining produce the acid and enzymes needed for this process. When the food is ready to leave the stomach and move on to the next stage, the pyloric sphincter opens to allow the chyme to pass into the small intestine. Next up, we have the small intestine, which is where most of the magic happens. This is where your body absorbs the nutrients it needs. The small intestine has three parts: the duodenum, the jejunum, and the ileum. In the duodenum, bile from the liver and juices from the pancreas mix with the chyme to help break down fats and other nutrients. After that, the jejunum takes over, absorbing nutrients from the food. Then, in the ileum, any leftover nutrients and water are absorbed before the waste goes to the large intestine. The inside of the small intestine is lined with tiny finger-like projections called villi. These villi increase the surface area, allowing for better absorption of nutrients. Even smaller projections called microvilli sit on the villi and further boost absorption. The liver is one of our body's busiest organs, and it plays several important roles. First things first, it processes all the nutrients from the food you eat. It also produces bile, a substance that is essential for breaking down fats. Think of the liver like a filter that deoxygenates your blood and helps remove toxins from substances like alcohol and medications. The liver is made up of structures called liver lobules, which are the functional units responsible for processing nutrients. Inside the liver, there are hepatocytes, which are liver cells that produce bile and detoxify the blood. The liver also has bile ducts that transfer bile to the gallbladder for storage or directly to the small intestine when needed. The portal vein carries nutrient-rich blood from the digestive system to the liver so it can process and store nutrients. Now the pancreas. Next, let's talk about the gallbladder. This little organ stores and concentrates bile that's produced by the liver. When food enters the intestines, the small intestines, the gallbladder squeezes out bile into the intestine to help break down fats. The gallbladder has a fundus, which is the rounded part where bile is stored, a body where bile is concentrated, and a cystic duct that carries bile to the common bile duct. Now the pancreas. The pancreas has a dual role. It helps in the digestion and also regulates blood sugar. The pancreas produces digestive enzymes that break down fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. These enzymes travel through the pancreatic duct into the small intestine. But that's not all. The pancreas also produces important hormones like insulin and glucagon through the islets of Langerhans. These hormones regulate your blood sugar by helping cells absorb glucose or store it for later use. Now we're getting closer to the end of the line. The large intestine is where our bodies absorb most of the remaining water and salts from the leftover food. The first part of the large intestine is the cecum, where undigested food enters. From there, it moves to the ascending colon, where more water is absorbed. The transverse and descending column continue to absorb water, and by the time it reaches the rectum, it's mostly solid waste. Rectum and the anus. Finally, we have the rectum and the anus, which stores and eventually expels waste. The rectum holds the waste until it's time to go. The internal anal sphincter controls the involuntary release of the waste, and the external anal sphincter lets you control when you actually have to go to the bathroom. ATP. As we digest food, our bodies break it down into glucose and other molecules. These molecules are used to make ATP, adenosine triphosphate, which is the energy your cells need to function. From muscle movement to brain activity, ATP powers nearly every function in your body. You probably heard of the phrase, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. And that's where it comes from, the mitochondria. In order to talk about the digestive system, we have to talk about the gut microbiome. Trillions of bacteria and microbes live in our intestines. These little guys help break down complex carbs, produce vitamins, and even support our immune system. A healthy microbiome is essential for digestion, immunity, and even mood regulation. Common digestive disorders. Now, sometimes things don't go as planned. Disorders like GERD, which is heartburn, peptic ulcers, and even colon cancer can disrupt digestion. Obesity and other issues can also impact the digestive system, as well as mental issues such as eating disorders, depression, anxiety, PTSD, etc. Conclusions and takeaways. So, to wrap things up, the digestive system is crucial for breaking down food, absorbing nutrients, and creating energy. If something goes wrong, it can affect both your physical and mental health. Maintaining a healthy diet, managing stress, and taking care of your gut microbiome are key to keeping everything running smoothly. Thanks for listening. Hopefully now you can have a better understanding of everything from your mouth to your intestine. Work together to keep you energized and healthy. Thanks for watching. Bye.